What's going on? It is time for Prize Picks. I got the dream team: Jason Sukumel, Cody Carpenter here, Alex Dunlap. Man, today we're going to discuss Arch Manning versus Julian Sayin. Cody and Alex, they've got some things that probably got some really good picks for us. And of course, Alex is going to break down some of the new promos on Prize Picks. So play $5, get $50 instantly. Use that promo code Orange Bloods, and let's get at it. Fellas, Ohio State named the starting quarterback, Julian Sayin. They finally went ahead and went with that. Now we know it will be officially an Arch versus Julian matchup. Before we get into everything that Prize Picks has, Jason, I'll start with you. What was your reaction to knowing that, okay, Ohio State finally decided they were going to go with Julian?
Pretty well expected. You don't bring in, he was, I believe, the number one quarterback in his class. We've talked about this. He's a guy that would be a Longhorn if Arch Manning didn't go to Texas. Julian Sayin was going to Texas until Arch committed, and then he kicked Texas out. But, it's pretty well expected, man. You don't bring in that caliber of a transfer to have him sit the bench. I know there was a quarterback battle, and they got some good guys behind them, some good young players, but that they're high on. But I kind of always expected it to be Julian Sayin. Sark talked about him this week on where coming out of high school. That Texas obviously recruited him. Very heady player, very accurate player. So he'll have some good weapons around him. He'll have a chance to be a really good quarterback for them.
Jason, did he return your phone call? That's the main thing.
He always did. If he would have come to Texas, he would have probably been one of my top 5 all-time favorites. Seriously, he was like the number one quarterback in his class. But and I remember people on Orange Blood were already hating on him. I'm like, no, he's actually one of the nicest kids. Yeah. And most grounded kids I've ever covered. But so yes, Omar, he did return my phone call. So,
that's Jason Sukumel's way to determine how much he likes a kid or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Cody, you didn't have to call Julian, but what was your thought when Ohio State finally came out with that announcement?
Well, I think it was expected. This has been expected since the season ended. We had our guy Anand Nanduri on Friday, who's been to some of these Ohio State practices and talks to these Ohio State guys, and he was pretty confident in it coming into the end of last week. Keenholz was, a guy that can run the ball. He's a very good athlete, one of the top athletes on that team. If you go talk to the wait staff at Ohio State. And I think that there's still an outside shot. I don't think I don't think the door's closed on Julian Sayin like it is with like Arch Manning, right? Arch Manning's a starter. There's no question he's a starter ahead of like the Trey Owens and Matthew Caldwell's of the world. I don't think it's the same boat for Julian Sayin. Even though Ryan Day said consistency, the growth over the last 6 months, X, Y, and Z, he still said in the next sentence during his press conference, yeah, but there's probably still some packages that Keenholz is going to play in on. And yeah, we still think Keenholz did some good things. I still think that there's an avenue for this. The thing is, you're never going to start Keenholz over Sayin on day one, because that's just the blowback you're going to receive for that is so different than what it would be doing it the way they are right now. So I think they had to play Sayin more than anything.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the only way that I thought that they weren't going to play Julian Sayin is if, and like Cody said, I asked Anand about this when he was on our show, but it's just if they took the real coward's way out and just wanted to protect the guy, and not have him go out in his first game, just let him out, like we talked about, man, it's bullets flying for the first time against a DB group that does a really good job of disguising things. Just a hellacious edge attack. It's, these are their tackles are kind of, not questionable. They're playing at Ohio State. They're probably good, but that's the question mark of the offensive line, right? You put all that together and you say, some of the thought around Columbus apparently for a while is well, are we putting this guy in a too tough a position, just to start out his career? And I was like, well, if he's the better quarterback, you gotta play him. It's like you let him take his lumps. By the end of the season, you're probably looking at a guy that's operating at a totally different level. And by then, the various committees or whatever, this game will be long forgotten and in the rearview mirror since it's happening in week 1. So it was expected for me. I honestly would have been shocked had it not been him. So for me, it's, status quo as far as what I was expecting and kind of moving forward into the next week.
Let's look at what Prize Picks thinks. And Jason, I want to start with you. You see right now we got Arch at 3,000.5 passing yards for the season. That's 12 games for those who don't know. And then we've got Julian at 2,599.5. If you had to take the more or less on either one, which one jumps out to you the most?
Real quick, has that Arch number come up, or was it always set at 3,000? I thought it was like 2,900.
I thought it was too. I could be wrong, but I'm with you, Jason. I thought it was just under 3K.
Yeah, I'm probably Anwar. I'm probably taking the less on both of them, honestly.
Damn.
I mean, Arch can bust that number, obviously, but Texas, I think, is going to be playing from ahead a lot of times. Julian saying, just for the reasons Cody talked about, like, we think he's going to be the guy throughout the season, but there's no guarantee on that. I mean, he may get benched, 3 games in if he really struggles. So I think I'd probably take the less on Sand would be my number one pick, and then maybe the less on Arch. And I don't know if you have this, but I'm looking at their stats, their projections for this first game, and they're almost equal. Sand is 235.5, Arch is 237.5, which I thought was pretty interesting that they're damn near dead even. But as far as those season totals, if I'm going one way, I'm only picking one, I'm probably taking the less on Julian Sand, and just because I'm factoring the possibility that they may still have some sort of quarterback controversy at some point, depending on how Sand does coming out of the gate.
Cody, which one is there? One that pops off the page for you? Either one?
I mean, the Sand one, to be honest, I probably would just stay completely away from, just because, similar to what Jason said, and my opening thought is I just don't really fully trust that he's going to be the starter all season. If I did, I'd take the over because you look at the receivers that are in that room and you look at the weaponry at tight end and things of this nature. I think you trust it. The Arch thing, I have such weird thoughts on this, and I know everybody in the country has thoughts on the Arch Manning thing, but it's like, okay, people have brought up the Mac Jones thought, right? The Mac Jones thought from 2020. And I know I'm not going to jump to conclusion right away and say he's going to finish third in Heisman. And I know the receiver room was Judy and Smith and Mitchie and all these guys in 2020. I get that. But that was the year that Sark was at Alabama and he was the OC. And you go to 2019, the year before that, when Mac Jones, threw 141 pass attempts and Sark was the OC and he had 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Like, that was literally 51 pass attempts more than what Arch had last season. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Arch has a 4,000-yard passing season. I'm not going to predict that right now in this conversation, but 3,000, I think it brings to the conversation up is, do you think he gets hurt? Right. And I think, Anwar, you've brought this up before on shows, is like, when's the last time a quarterback at Texas played the full season? I don't know. Can he, like,
time?
Right.
I mean, Arch is so big, though. If anybody's going to do it, I think it might be Arch. He's so big and just he hadn't played a ton, but he's shown durability when he's been out.
Tyrone Swoops was kind of big too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
don't think it's good.
Sam Ehlinger was a tank, man. Like,
He was a tank, but he's not Arch. I mean, Arch and Sam are different bodies, but yeah, Sam was.
Sometimes that hurts you though. Like, you're like, oh, I can run the ball, and then all of a sudden, you get tweaked up, you get banged up here and there. So I think it's more so the question is, like, does he play a full season? If he does, I think he shatters this 3,000 number pretty easily. The only other one I would say is, what was the Mateer one? The Mateer one was what, 27, maybe 26?
It was like 2,900 now. Yeah.
Oh, was it 29? I must have been looking at the Arnold one. I thought that was Mateer. Yeah, other than that, I would kind of stay away from all of those. I think they're all pretty good numbers. And the ones that I would kind of lean into, you got Lagway, who's banged up. Like, if he's healthy all year, sure. But, I mean, I don't even know if he's going to last 5 games. Dante Moore's interesting if they had a healthy receiving core with Evan Stewart and stuff. But 27, I mean, that number's probably also not 27.5 if Evan Stewart's 100%. So I don't love really any of these other than Arch.
I mean, Alex, I want to ask the same question to you, but I also going to ask you a bonus question, because there's nobody who loved Diego Pavia last year more than Alex Dunlap. And Alex, to your credit, You were probably higher and first on Diego before everybody else kind of joined on the bandwagon.
Because of Prize Picks. I would always
And
take
as a-
whenever he was at New Mexico or New Mexico State.
Yep.
Mostly as a runner, though, right?
You just
Alex?
take the rushing overs
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bet on Diego Pavia passing over. What did he? I don't even know what he had last year. I just always watch his rushing line.
I'll look it up. Give me your thoughts on Arch and Julian, and then I'll look up Diego's stats for you.
No, I'm staying away from both of those things. But I'm not worried that Julian Sayin loses his job during the season. I think that those numbers are just about right. I think with Jackson Arnold at 26.99, part of me says that you have Hugh Freeze this week saying that he might play what was he saying? He might play 3 people versus they're playing Baylor, right?
Yes,
yeah.
I believe that's correct. I believe that's correct, Alex.
Might play 3 quarterbacks versus Baylor. I mean, that sounds weird to me. On the other side of the coin, they're wide receivers at Auburn. That could be I don't know. It's it should be one of the better just wide receiver rooms in the SEC. So I mean, he's obviously got the weaponry there to get it done. As I look at it, man, I just think to myself, which ones of the I'm kind of with Cody to where it's like the angle I'd be looking at is which ones of these guys, because we know that in betting season long projections like this, like there's massive edge to taking the less, right? It just is. And so if you're looking to take the less, you're like, okay, well, what should I take the less with? And I think to myself, well, which one of these guys is coming into the season kind of banged up or hurt where they could miss games? And even though Lagway is one of the quarterbacks I like best on this whole list, like Cody said, it's multiple injuries that he's had to deal with over the course of the offseason. And he's a big dude, and he's sturdy too, and you get it, but if he doesn't play the whole season, he's not gonna get there. You also wonder about I guess I would look at Marcel Reed and I'd be like, 2,200 yards isn't very much, but he's a guy. He runs around a lot. He's not he's not the biggest dude. I wonder, is he going to stay healthy all year? Could there be anything? Are they 100% sure that he's locked in as their QB? It doesn't feel like a guy who A&M says this is our QB1 and we're sticking with him through the whole season, no matter what happens. He's that good. I don't know if you guys think differently of Marcel Reed than that. That's the way that I see Marcel Reed. So maybe the less is on those two guys. The Mateer one seems really, God, they're really buying into just that system from Washington State, just clicking in automatically with Arbuckle and John Mateer there at Oklahoma. This feels like a lot of faith to be putting him, is the tied for the second highest projection on this thing with Miller Moss. But yeah, I mean, those are my general thoughts. Maybe the less is on those with Arch, Julian Sayin. I feel like those are just about right. I wouldn't want to touch them. Do
you think, by the way, Alex, and just real quick, Dante Moore, who was at UCLA, 27.50, does that seem pretty low for an Oregon quarterback?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe if I was leaning more, maybe that's the one I would look at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Evan Stewart though.
Yeah. What is up with? What about Evan Stewart?
Out for the year.
What did you say about Evan Stewart?
Tore his patellar tendon like a couple months ago.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Yeah.
So you're missing your top receiver. That's more so the point. That's kind of what I said. I was like, I would generally like it, but I just.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about an Evan Stewart projection. I was confused because I thought he was out. But you're saying that you take into account that he doesn't have Evan Stewart, and that's something that you worry about for him hitting them more. Okay.
Yeah, they got a nice running back in the portal, and it's like in a big offensive line. I think that I'm not sure this is an air raid offense like we've seen, not generally air raid, but more air raid than not, like we've seen with Dylan Gabriel and his weapons and Bo Nix and his weapons like the last couple of years. I think Dante Moore's good, but I think if he had Evan Stewart,
Dante Moore sucked. He threw 8 passes last year.
The reports from camp have been pretty solid up there.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah,
thing I'm
he
really-
did have apparently a good scrimmage, but he wasn't very good his freshman year. He didn't do much
Yeah.
last year. But that Oregon offense, you got to give him some benefit of the doubt. I get it.
Yeah. It feels like it's a just add water thing with the quarterbacks they bring in there.
Yeah.
They've
Hey,
done a good
Alex, we're going to talk about some other season-long projections and what you guys may think. But, Prize Picks has got some promos coming out. And I just want you to tell the people what Prize Picks has got cooking for them this season. And again, play $5, get $50 instantly on Orange Bloods. Alex, why don't you break it down for everybody?
Well, not just this season, but just for this weekend, there's a free play. Jason, who'd you say it was on?
Avery Johnson, Kansas State. There's a free play for him for Saturday. And there's also one for NFL, Dak Prescott for the season long. He has to throw for 1 yard. So be sure to get those plays in.
So you can bet up. You can put up to $25 into those entries, and obviously you can choose one of those for whatever it is on Avery Johnson to like throw for over a half a yard or whatever it is, and that way you only have to hit one for that entry. If you pick two to pay 3x, so you bet $25 on it if the entry hits.
Sign up. Hey, sign up for $5. Use that promo code Orange Bloods. You get $50 free. Put 25 on Avery Johnson, 25 on Dak, and you're gonna quadruple your money probably right off the bat. So
I don't think you can't put those two.
No, I'm not saying together. I'm sorry. You have to have two separate plays.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice if you could put them together.
That would be.
But then the cool thing that they're rolling out today, and this is brand new. We'll have breaking news here. Is that if you play on Prize Picks a lot, you know that you put together an entry, and you can put together an entry from anywhere from between 2 and 6 different projections, right? And if you put one in, say it's like 6 different projections, that can pay up to, depending on whether you make it, you boost the projections up, you can make these things pay out 100x, 200x, 250x. But if it's just 6 that are the standard projection that they give you, I think that's 37.5x that you make. So a $20 $20 entry if all 6 hit. So if you pick, this guy to go more than this many rushing yards and this guy to go less than this many passing yards, and all of them all hit, you take that 20, you turn it into $750, right? Now, this new thing is, what are they calling the actual feature on more? Is it instant cash out?
Early payout.
Yes,
early payout is the new feature. And so since it's just getting rolled out today, I don't know exactly how it's going to look on Prize Picks, but the way that this feature looks on other sites, and Prize Picks is the first one to do this in the daily fantasy space. And so that's why it's good to sign up on Prize Picks with that promo code and not some of the others. Is that, let's say that you have an entry and it's kind of looking like things are looking good for your entry, right? You got like 3 of your guys have already gone, have already hit, right? And you have a couple of dudes who are in the middle of their game and it's halftime and they're like halfway there. And then you got one guy maybe that's left to play later in the afternoon games or whatever, right? It's kind of looking like it could be an entry that could make you the 37.5x or whatever. What it's going to give you is the option to say, it's going to tell you, hey, we're not going to give you the whole payout because you haven't hit this yet, but you want to take $300 right now and just take the instant cash out, and you're going to have that opportunity to do that. It's going to be offering you the ability to say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and take the profit right now. I've already made 15x on this thing. What if this guy in the second half doesn't get another target and losing this one part of my entry, this one piece of my entry is going to knock me out to where I don't make any money, right? It's kind of like taking insurance if you were to casino or something like that, right? You can just say, no, just give me the less payout and I'll take it now. And it adds an extra element of strategy because on one hand, you could be so happy for yourself that, you say, gosh, that the entry didn't even hit and I just won. Or you could say, gosh, if I wouldn't have taken the instant or whatever, the instant payout, I would have hit anyway and I would have made all this extra money. So
sounds like the old school let's make a deal.
Yeah. It's kind of like they'll be doing it there with you just there on the interface. And so it's a cool new feature. It adds a new element of strategy. And along with the new stacking feature that they have where you can use players more than once. It adds some new strategy this season as far as how you're going to be putting together your entries, and then how you're going to be monitoring your entries and sweating them as you're watching the games.
Hey, Cody, as we, start to wrap up a little bit, Cody, are there any season-long totals that you like? Because, next week we're probably going to focus a little bit more on the game itself and kind of get into what those, individual Texas, Ohio State. But so anything from a season-long projection that you say, man, this is really kind of whetting my appetite a little bit, whether it's college or NFL?
Well, I'll be honest, the first one that came to mind while we were talking earlier about taking the less for some of these quarterbacks was this Nussmeier number. I know they added a lot of weaponry, but his number's up at 37.99, and he threw for 4,000 yards last year. But we know he's been dealing with some kind of like either knee arthritis or knee, degenerative stuff, according to Brian Kelly, about a week ago. And speaking of just staying on the field and staying healthy, like Garrett Nussmeier, 37.99, that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. And then I was looking at rushing, and I think we talked about some rushing stuff last week, so I didn't want to bring up that again other than Ahmad Hardy. I like that number. He's at Mississippi. I kind of like that one as well. I didn't really look at any of the NFL stuff yet, but I thought the Nussmeier one was kind of interesting going less.
Jason, anything that you've seen that is from a season-long projection that you think you like?
I tell you, the one that's not popular because he's not a big name, but I still like the Kevin Jennings, the SMU quarterback, 2,800. For more than that last year, he threw for 3,200, and he wasn't even the starter to begin the season. I'd need to do a little research on who his weapons are, and I need to get on that because I keep looking at that one. But yeah, that one jumped out to me a couple weeks ago. I mean, I think he has a chance to shatter that one. And then, I'm always going to take. I don't see the Auburn quarterback. Do we have a season total for him?
Jackson Arnold?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
got it. It's right here.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the screen for you.
Like, dude, you guys know I'm a Jackson Arnold. Listen, he may be the nicest guy in the world. I don't know, but I think he sucks as a football player. I just do. And the fact that Alex said that they're talking about possibly playing 3 quarterbacks in week 1, like, give me the less on Jackson Arnold. I know they loaded up with weapons. I get it, but I just don't. Every time I've seen that guy play, I am not impressed. So I would probably take the less there.
Alex, what about you?
Can I give an NFL one or two?
Sure.
Okay, so with it, like the NFL, the passing yard on the passing yard lesses are like a mortal cheat code, right? And so what I do is I go through here and I look at the guys again, looking at possible injury stuff, and I always land on Tua, and I'm just also they have Tua set at 3425.5, and just looking over his career, he was a rookie in 2020, right, Cody? I think it was 2020. Was he 2019 or 2020?
No, it would be 20, right? Because when it wasn't Mac Jones, the quarterback in 2020.
It was Mac, Fields, T-Law, Wilson.
So I think he's only gone over this number twice in his career. He's gone over this number twice in his career, and he gets banged up during the season. There's weird stuff going. There's weird chemistry stuff. It feels like going on with Tyreek Hill. I still think Tyreek's going to be good if Tua's healthy. But here's the thing: when we talk about this offense, we say if Tua can stay healthy, if he can stay healthy, and we know. I mean, he's doing this jiu-jitsu stuff with his break falls and trying to do everything to make sure that he does things to protect his head. I think if he gets his bell rung again, man, this could be something where they keep him out for 4, 5, 6 games. There's gonna be like a national outcry to say don't put Tua back out there, So I think maybe the less on him, and then just after seeing him this last week in preseason, Ashton Genty. I hate to take him more on this, but it's his rushing yards for this year. Ashton Genty, the rookie for the Raiders, 1,050.5. It just feels like him and Brock Bowers, they're going to be that offense. Whenever we saw the first offense in there, they don't sub in running backs. They don't do, they have Genty in there and they give him the football. And I know he had a bad, first game of the preseason where he had 3 carries for -1 yards. But then that second game when he got to play at home on Saturday, You just looked at it and you're like, all right, well, that's Ashton Genty right there. That's the guy that we saw at Boise. He looks awesome. He's going to get fed the football. He's going to be one of the NFL's pure volume guys from a pure attempt standpoint. And so I like Ashton Genty on the season to go over 1,050 yards. And I also like him to have this more than 3.5 100+ yard rushing games.
Awesome. All right, play
Omar,
five.
real quick, we got to wrap. I know there's a Jack Fox, the Detroit punter, 0.5 passing yards on the season. Last 3 years, he's had 17, 6, and 38. So Jack Fox, the Detroit punter, take the more passing yards on Jack Fox.
You'll be sweating that all year watching the Detroit games for a fake punt.
That'll be the one you hit on 4 of the 5, and you're in week 12 just hoping for that trick play. So, all right, that's Jason Sukumel's recommendation, not ours. Play $5, get $50 instantly. Use that promo code Orange Buzz. We'll be back next week as we start to break down Texas versus Ohio State. You guys take care.